Well, you're still in the office, I see.
Severance, baby.
What? So, what are we gonna do about this? I told you, I just think you need to start living in this office as your
I
Zoom
think so.
background.
I mean, it doesn't matter what I change it to, the like weird effects of my microphone and
Disappearing
stuff just
microphone.
disappearing is gonna do it. So
If
I
anyone
just need
has
to,
any experience in this, please email us at the at velvetsedge.com.
it's
Chip is so
so,
sad to be stuck in this office on his
yeah,
Zoom
I cannot get
background.
the virtual background off. And I know everyone's gonna send me the obvious, simple instructions. And what I can tell you, I've done a deep dive.
And they don't work.
None of it works. And I
Mm,
restarted my computer thinking that would do it, and it didn't work.
mm,
I deleted Zoom.
mm.
Didn't work. So Mercury is in retrograde.
It
I
actually
almost said
is, though.
Mercury.
Did you know that for real, or are
Yeah,
you trying to
yeah.
be funny? Because it
No, no, I
actually is
knew it
in
was.
very serious retrograde.
Yeah. If this shit stops after Mercury's done being in retrograde, I'm like full on astrology.
Okay, well, universe, you heard him here first.
Yeah.
Go ahead and teach him a lesson, and
Yeah.
let's get this thing back working after Mercury retrograde. Well, you've been traveling, I've been traveling. We've had so much going on, and so we're both a little bit like, look at us right now. If you guys are
Oh,
watching on YouTube, apologies.
yeah. I
This
got a
is
hat
not our best
on.
look. This is not our best look. But we are here, and I told you I was like, I actually really loved the guest on Wednesday, so I don't want to not do justice to our Friday podcast about this because the topic itself and the way she's delivering it were so helpful to me personally that I didn't want to miss that. So if you guys didn't listen yet to the Wednesday podcast, Shannah Game, who is a financial planner, a financial trauma specialist, and the author of a new book, Unraveling Your Relationship with Money, was on. And I love her approach. And it's like no mistake, obviously, that we found each other because our astrology, speaking of astrology, is very aligned. And so we have very similar like wiring. So I think it's like we think the same way about things. And I said to you, she is doing money and the money talks in a way I've never heard anyone do it. Like I've had financial people come on the podcast before. I've worked with financial people myself, and it always kind of gets like mumbo jumbo in my brain because they start with like numbers and budgets and let's analyze this and that. And it's so overwhelming. It's probably how you feel with astrology. I'm like, wah, 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 wah,
Right,
wah.
yeah.
Like my brain just does not work that way. So, what was interesting to me about Shauna is she came on and she was like, you got to unpack your like feelings, your emotion, and your trauma around money before you get to budgets or how you spend or any sort of number
The
conversation.
why, yeah.
Yeah. And I'm like, why haven't I thought of that? Because we
What
do
was it
that.
that she said? She said money is emotions, not numbers.
Yes. Money, and because
Yeah.
money is energy. And people always say that to me, but I've never really been able to connect the dots on that. It kind of like was this dumb, like, duh moment to me because we do that with every other topic on this podcast. Like, we analyze the whys behind sex and the way we move with that, the whys behind relationships and why we get in that. I mean, the week before we were talking about kids and fertility
Right.
and, being on your own journey and not trying to compare yourself to other people. But for some reason, I haven't connected the dots to the whys and the root causes of money and spending and financial trauma and even put that together that that was a real thing. So it was really interesting to me to have her on the podcast. I like downloaded this worksheet thing that I put in the description of the podcast for you guys. It's a free worksheet and I'm doing it for myself because I really want to like get to I want to be conscious with what I'm doing with my money and how I'm moving with money and then how I make money and save for the future and things like that. But it hasn't worked for me to just fully focus on the numbers. So I'm really excited to like dive into the whys behind it.
Well,
So
it's so funny
go
because
ahead.
when I start thinking about like my relationship with money, I
Yeah.
mean, the root of it is how my mother really always talked about it. And
Okay.
I mean, that's at the core of it. And it's, now that I'm an adult, I still see the patterns of how she talks about people and how they have money and the haves and have-nots. And she always groups herself in the like poor people thing. And we were like
Mm,
firmly middle class. There was very little that we didn't have that we wanted, but like she definitely grew up with some people that had a lot more money. But I also think we now live in such an external world where it's about instant gratification and putting on a show. And I
Right.
mean, she talks about the media of it all. Like, we are served things all the time, ads, spend, spend, spend. And there is shame that comes along with not being able to fit in with the crowd. And, but I also think it's so funny. Like, how many times have you heard, like, you'll meet this person that, like, literally drives a raggedy ass car and they're like thrifting clothes and they leave the room and you're like, you'll never believe how much money that person
Oh,
has.
for
You know,
sure.
like, and it's like, to me, that's the fucking goal in life because they like
Right.
are seemingly happy and the money isn't driving it. Like, they're living their life. And I know, some of those comforts come with not having to ever worry about money. So if
Mhm.
you have money, if you were born into money, like, I think there are different types of trauma. Like, you might be a soul that doesn't want to care about money, but it's all the family cares about. So, I think that it's a really important distinction to understand that, like, it doesn't matter if you're rich, poor, or middle class.
Totally.
There is some sort of trauma around money that affects the way that you see it. And I don't know what the word for, like, good trauma is. Like,
What do you mean good trauma?
um,
I think trauma is
like,
innately like not
right,
good.
right. Like, what is the opposite of trauma? Like, you can have there are people that actually have figured it out and have a good relationship with
Well, I
money.
think what
And
you're
so
maybe what
maybe
you're
there
trying to
are,
say is like using even the trauma that you've been through and like turning your pain into purpose, like finding power within it, evolving past it, all of those things we try to do with any other trauma that we have as well.
Mhm. Yeah, that's kind of the point that I was making. But also, like, I do think there are people that, like, innately just had a healthy relationship with money. Like,
Oh,
they
of
didn't care
course.
about it or whatever. So it's like the opposite of being traumatized by it. It's like the zero fucks of it all, you
Mhm.
know? Which is obviously a lot easier when you have a safety net and there is money. But I also think that there are plenty of people that, like, don't have a lot of money and they have a family that they love and a life that they love, and they're not influenced by the external that makes them feel like they need more, more, more. They just are happy with life.
Well,
So
that's the point, right? Is to evaluate your relationship with money. So like trauma is such a big word and I think maybe not everybody, just like you're saying, maybe not everybody relates to that. However, there are probably some messages that you got in your childhood that defined your relationship with money, whatever that looks like, whether that could even be like a secure relationship with money, like you're describing, but it's like everything else, right? She said by the time we're 7, we've basically formed our opinions or we've formed the way that we're going to move with money later in life because of what was happening to us at that age. And that's the same as why you pick the people you pick to date or why you work as hard as you do or not as hard as you do. Like it's the same thing as everything else we literally talk about on this podcast. We just have not discussed it in terms of money and how we spend and that literally like Oprah calls them aha moments, whatever. I felt like my brain was going to pop off my body. It was that, however you want to
right,
say it, it was like a moment of like, oh my god, why have I not thought about this? Because it
yeah,
is true, like what you're saying about your mom's relationship with money, it impacted the way you think about money because
yeah,
she taught you that. It's an inherited belief. And so now all this is asking us to do is go, what do I actually think about money? And like, how am I spending my money? How am I saving my money? Am I getting paid enough? Like, am I actually being compensated for the work that I'm doing? Like, all of these kind of things that I think are driving probably more than we think about. Like, I know they are for me, and they can be so tied to messages of shame or unworthiness or things that you and I were talking about before the podcast. But like if you don't dive into it, it's this unconscious driver. Whereas if you just kind of sit back and ask yourself these questions, you can be consciously working with it and building the life you want with the money you want or don't want or whatever it is, like whatever
right,
your journey
right.
is.
Yeah, I mean, money, I'll admit, like, I have a very funny relationship with money. Like,
Well, so let's talk about that. Let's maybe do
okay,
some of the things that we took away from the
yeah.
podcast because I know it definitely made me think about a lot about my own self.
Well, I
What were
mean,
some of your things?
well, I don't, I can find happiness kind of in any situation, whether it's like a bougie situation or the, like, most dive bar, like, ratchet situation. Like, I can
Right.
find fun anywhere. So I'm like one of those, like, interesting people that it does, like, when I say that money doesn't matter to me, like that sounds so flippant, but it doesn't. Like if I'm with people that I love and I can laugh, then it's a great moment, you know?
Mhm.
But I also love to travel and I love things and um my life is not cheap. And could I adjust? Probably, you know, I could
Sure.
spend a lot less money. But because I don't care about money in the same way, I'm not like it has good and bad impacts. Like I'm terrible at saving because I've been really fortunate in my life that money shows up in times when I need it, like
Mhm.
in ways that like you can't predict.
Mhm.
But I also know that I work really hard and I deserve to be paid well, but I also don't know how to fight for it. Like
Mhm.
money is a very uncomfortable thing for me to talk about.
Me too, I hate it.
Because suddenly if you ask for more money, that you don't get, like, is it a reflection on your like own self-worth? Like if you
Mhm.
just stand for it. Um, and you know, I'm constantly around people that make a shit ton of money. And some of them are really great about saving, some of them aren't. So it's like in my own life, I'm able to see the spectrum of it all and see
Sure.
like what life can be like if if you do money right and what life can be like if you don't. But I've got plenty of people around me that like money is not like a ruling thing in their life. Like they have enough of it to like do what they want to do, but it's not what drives them at all. And I just for me, it is definitely not the driver of things, but I fear not having it. I just have like a and my family I
Scarcity
never like
mindset?
yeah, I have a scarcity
I
mindset,
do
and my
too.
family like we never like there was never food insecurity. There was never any of those moments where we were like, all right, we got to batten down the hatches. Like this is going to be a rough
Mhm.
year. Like I never had a parent that was like out of work suddenly. Like never any of those scares. It was more we don't talk about money. We don't talk about like we just didn't talk about it, but my mom talked about it a lot and still does. Because she references, she like, in her mind, she's a pauper compared to a lot of her friends, you know?
Oh,
And she
yeah.
thinks she equates having a lot of money to having an easier life, which is not true. I know plenty of people that have lots of money that are not happy or struggle with a lot of things in their life. And, um, you know, I say my mom would be like, you know, money doesn't buy happiness. And I was like, well, it can buy some happierness.
Yeah.
You know, like you can buy a little bit of it, but it's not like the answer to everything. And which is a really tough thing to grapple with because the world that we live in,
Yeah.
I mean, us right now, we're having a conversation about money, and I want to be clear on this. Like, my goal is not to tell anybody to go out there and try and make as much money as you can. Like, go get rich. Like, that is not the point of my conversation. The point of my conversation, because I can only speak for myself, is that like, um, I do think that life would be easier with a healthier relationship to money.
Sure.
Um, and uh, I know it's something that I need to work on. And listening to is Shannah, what's her name? Shannah or
Shauna.
Shauna? Shauna. Listening to Shauna, like I want to like explore some of the like the workbook stuff that she has, like these
Mhm.
things that seem to like really open up people's minds because I've tried the financial planner thing too, and it just doesn't work for me. Like it seems overwhelming. It seems like I'm going to be giving away everything that I'm saving. Like I just can't wrap my head around it. But what I know is that I need to change because I'm not saving properly, and that can be humiliating because I have a lot of friends that are really great at saving. And
Mm.
my mom was actually really great at saving. I just didn't get that gene.
It's such a catch-22 though, because then it's also like we're also taught the messages of, well, you can't take it with you. So I
Right.
think, it's like this weird mixed messages thing that happens in our society. And like you mentioned, like we live in a capitalist society. Like it's very much about consumerism and the haves and the have-nots and keeping up with the Joneses and what that means about you and what that means about your success. And like, I just think that's the really interesting piece about what Shauna is bringing to the conversation is that really true? Or are we attaching these mentalities to the way we spend, to the way we like the things that we buy unconsciously and not actually asking ourselves, is this true for me? Is this what I want? Does this make me happy? am I doing right by myself, like, as far as saving goes, like you're talking about? And we just don't really ask those things. I think we ask, like, numbers questions, and for people like you and me who are creatives, that is like, "Wait, what?" I
Right.
was always bad at math. Like, I had to have a math tutor, and, like, I'm a smart person. So it's just like my brain just does not think that way, you
Yeah.
know? So I found it really interesting. One of the things that came up for me during the podcast was like, I can't remember exactly what she said that made me go here. But one of the things that I noticed that I do is because she had mentioned for women, it can be hormonal for us, like our
Yeah.
spending. And I never thought about that, but it makes so much sense because I'm a creature of comfort for sure. And like, I want to be comfortable. And so I'm doing things usually in my life to, make my house feel cozy, to make sure I'm doing things that will be the most comfortable for me in all ways. Like that's just very important to me. It's a high priority. And so like during certain times of the month, like I have lower energy, I don't feel as good. So it's very easy for me to want to buy things to fix that thing, that
Right.
problem, which is fine. Like she talked about that. She was like, that would be fine if you know that's a time of the month that you're probably going to want to order out more or whatever it is. Like, I can't
Set
think of other
aside the
examples.
money.
Yeah, just
Yeah.
start setting aside the money. And I was like, oh, right. Like, we don't have to shame ourselves for what we need or what makes us feel good in our lives or what makes us happy. It's just more about being conscious about that and honest with ourselves. And then if it is something that we want to keep doing, like preparing ourselves for it, just
Right.
being more responsible in that way. We were saying before the podcast, like, I mean, the creature of comfort thing is so real for me. So it's certain times of month, and then it's just like if I'm sick or whatever. So I do need to have like a separate fund for these times where it's like, okay, when you're super busy, you're not going to want to cook. So you'll probably Postmates a lot or whatever. And that shit adds up. Like when I go do my
Real quick.
taxes every year, I get so like, oh my God, because I order groceries, I do that. It's just like that stuff adds up way faster than I think it does
Yeah.
when I'm doing it.
Yeah. Yeah.
But I don't wanna I've tried doing the thing like you said, I could probably cut back on ways I spend my money, and I have to just be honest with myself. I am a creature of comfort. I'm always gonna want some ease in certain times of the month, in certain periods of my life, in certain phases. So I just need to prepare for that and be honest and, like, true to myself with it, like, not try to be somebody I'm not. You know what I
Right.
mean?
Totally. Yeah. And I think sometimes the planning ahead even will put up the guardrails. So it's like if you've only put $100 in your like fun money tank
My
or whatever
comfort
you want to
fund.
call it, like you're
Yeah.
like, well, I only have $100. So it's like, you know, I'm
Mm.
gonna get a pizza that will last me all weekend. I
Mhm.
mean, obviously that's a different situation for you, but like I think if you
Because
have
I don't do
something
gluten and dairy, you mean?
right. But like, or you order a big old thing of chicken noodle soup
So
and
it's
or
like
whatever it
1
is.
order versus
Right, and that can take
3.
care of you, but if you know that, like, you've got the reward system in place because you saved $100 over here for this, then
Right.
the shame and the guilt of, like, you
Totally.
willy-nilly wasting money is out the window,
Exactly.
and it can still have its limitations, so
Mhm.
it checks both boxes.
Mhm.
You're saving, you're doing the right thing, but you're satisfying that, like, not having to cook.
Right, because what my spiral is like, so say for instance, like I'll go do my taxes and then I'm looking at, oh my God, look at this spending on this and that and that. And because it was these unconscious decisions that I was making in the time to make myself more comfortable, it comes with shame. And then it comes with this like beating myself up of, well, you better book another job or you better take on another client or you whatever. So it's like
Right.
this spiral that I'll go in about that I need to work harder to make more money to then blah blah blah, like, and it's just this vicious hamster wheel that I can get on, but that hamster wheel leads me to exhaustion and then burnout and then I don't want to work at all and then it's like like so
Right,
it's just
yeah.
like that's probably not the best solution either. That's just kind of what I've always done is just go make more, go do more, go blah, whatever. And I'm at this age now where I'm like, my body is saying, no, 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 no. And so I need to listen. But also looking at where does that scarcity even come from? Like, where did I develop that I won't have enough? and going back into childhood stuff for all of us. So it's like a both and situation. It's like how we're moving now, looking at the whys and how we got some of the we attached to some of the narratives, and then being true to ourselves about like what are your patterns, and like are they things that you should be working on, or are they just like part of who you are? Like I'm never not going to be a creature of comfort. That's just me. Like
Yeah, I mean,
I'm a fucking Taurus
that ship has
rising. Can't
sailed,
help it. I can't
sweetheart.
help it. Yeah, ship
Yeah,
has jigs up.
that yeah, jigs up. You know, it's funny. A bad habit of mine too is I will think of things like, based on my salary, I know what I make per hour. So
Okay.
I'll think like, oh, that's not that bad. That's only like 3 hours of work. I'm gonna go ahead and get it. You know what I mean? Like, rather than asking myself, do I really want it? Do I need it? Um,
Mm.
and this year I've actually tried to be a lot better about just willy-nilly buying things. But like, me, like a costume idea comes up, I'm gonna order that shit. Like,
The
I,
fact that the thing that you just brought up is like the thing that's killing you about your money is that you know me, if a costume I just that's the thing. Like
but
I
yeah,
don't
I mean, I'm like, I want to do it exactly the way I want to do it, and not be
you
like,
don't
well,
want your financial situation
I
to
could
hold you
use
back
this
on a
thing in my
costume.
closet and do this, blah blah blah. Like, although I can be pretty like crafty.
You're very crafty.
But I like don't miss an opportunity to like
You're
waste
not gonna
money.
miss fun. This is interesting. I said to Jib, I'm like, good God, a man that knows the way to my heart. He sent me this whole breakdown of each Enneagram number with money and the motivators behind like how we spend. And I, first of all, loved it, of course. Obviously.
Duh.
But you're a type 7, so like you love
I'd look for
experiences.
adventure,
Yeah,
yeah.
you're always looking for fun. That's what I think of with sevens. They look for fun. And that can make you a bit impulsive too, because
Hmm.
it's like the FOMO feeling, like you don't want to miss out. So that's something for you to really consider with money. Like mine was very true too. Emotional spender, values uniqueness. Like, are you kidding? Like,
Yeah.
tell me a story about myself. But
Right.
emotional spender, that's so true. So that's why certain times of the month I am going to be like, oh, you deserve to go shopping. Or like if I've been working really hard, I come home and I'm like, before even analyzing my money situation, I just want to buy clothes or do something that's going to make me feel good because I've been doing stuff for everyone else. That's okay. Again, I think it's all okay. It's just about being conscious of our patterns and the whys. And like, is this really going to be like, do you really want? Are you just exhausted and you need to go take a warm bath and like do something nice for yourself that, like self care kind of stuff versus like spending
Right.
because
Yeah.
I am probably a very emotional spender. Like if I'm really down, I remember I'll never forget this story. I was going through that's when I was canceling my wedding and my mom was like coming in to like help me. It was the day that it happened. I like called her and my mom was like, "Do you want me to get on a plane?" I was like, "Yes." I'm like a disaster. And then I was like, "I don't want to stay at a really," because I couldn't. I lived with my partner and I was like, "I can't stay at this house. I have to get the hell out of there."
Right.
And I said, I don't want to stay at a shitty hotel though. Like that's so me. Even in my like darkest day, I was like, what I will not do is like get cheated on, cancel a wedding, and go stay at a shitty hotel.
And stay at some
Yeah.
shitty hotel.
And my mom still brings it up to this day because it's just
That's
like,
so
but
good.
it's so me. Like it literally
Right.
that sums me up. So if I know that's me and I can accept myself for who I am, I need to have a fund for my emotional spending.
Yeah. Yeah.
You also brought it up in terms of relationships with that, which I thought was really, really interesting to think about. And I think that's probably a whole nother conversation. But what made you even bring that
Well,
up?
my last boyfriend, he was a couple years older than me, and he was like his goal was like I'm retiring by 55, even if it means I have to have a job at like Costco or something, like something that gets me out of the house, keeps me human, keeps me interacting with people, make a little bit of money, and that's like
Sure.
your fun spending money. And he owned his house that he lived in, and he had another like townhouse in town that he was a rental property. And I think he had probably just saved better. Like he didn't travel, he hadn't traveled as much as me in life, and all the things, like that eat into my bank account. And suddenly, like I was like, didn't ever want to have the conversation because I don't know, like his finances sound like everything was like perfectly in order, and I'm like, ooh, are mine a little bit of a mess?
Yeah.
Maybe, like I'm definitely not retiring at 55 unless the lottery fairy comes knocking on my door. But
Mhm.
so there comes shame with that, and it's
Yeah.
like um the idea of having to then unpack all of the why, like why is he in this position and why am I in this one, and there's a million reasons.
But it's so interesting to hear you talk because it's just like we were talking about last week about everyone is on their own journey. We
Right.
all need to make the life that works for us. And this is no different than that because you could easily argue, like listening to you, I'm like, those are just two different types of lives. Like, not, there's
Totally.
not necessarily like one right or wrong in that because you've had all these experiences that he probably hadn't had and like visited all these places. And some might say they value that more
More,
than
yeah.
saving, you know? So it's like tit for tat, like half a dozen,
You
what's the
can't take it
saying?
with you when you go.
6, 7, as the kids say, you know?
Yeah,
Like, I
six,
don't, I
seven.
still don't even really know what that means. So I
It
should
means
probably know.
nothing. That's the
Yeah.
whole point.
Well, it's just like I just it's the same thing as I would say with the kids. I do believe we have created this like one size fits all conversation about money that just isn't going to work because we're all so individual and different and we have different personalities and mindsets and jobs. And I was saying to you earlier, like we're both creatives. I feel like a lot of creatives would identify with this. Like we're a little bit more like late bloomer ish if you're looking at like
Yes.
a timeline than some people who like your ex who was more of a 9 to 5 corporate type guy. And it's just like, that's fine. There's
Yeah.
no like the timeline is made up. That's not real. Like, of course you want to have goals and you want to have like you want to take care of yourself, but there shouldn't be shame attached to it ever. I don't think it's more like, do you want to make changes in your life then? Like, did that bring up, hey, I want to start saving more or, I want to do better about planning for retirement? Or did it just make you wanna go travel more? I don't know, like, only you
Yeah.
can
I mean,
say.
honestly, I do think I was a little inspired to like start to save a little bit better
Mhm.
um and consider, how I was spending my money. But I don't know that it changed. I don't think it got to any of my whys, like
Sure, right.
it just was eye-opening in some ways. And it just shows that again, we're all on different paths
Mhm.
and um, you know, but that is scary though when you're in a relationship if there is a big sort of um, if there is a valley between you guys financially.
Sure.
And it can make or break a relationship too, because especially if you're going down the path towards marriage, where finances will start to become very gray and you're taking on whatever someone else has.
Right.
And there can be it makes for a very uncomfortable conversation. Like, even when you start talking about people that have plenty of money,
Mhm.
like the prenups of it all. Like, I can't imagine being in a position where you have to tell someone that you are like, you are my favorite person on earth. I want to marry you. I want to be with you for the rest of my
Now
life.
sign these
But if
documents.
something goes wrong, you ain't
Right.
getting my money. You know what I
Right.
mean?
No,
It's
that's a
like,
lot. It's
it's
very
a
loaded.
really like, it is a double-edged sword. Like, how what do you believe? Like if you're on
Mhm.
the receiving end of that, you're like, wait a minute, do you love me or do you love your money?
Yeah, but I
Uh,
mean, I'm
but I
just
also
saying, if I
understand
had
it too
millions of
because
dollars
there's
and I had worked really hard for it, you don't know what's gonna happen in life.
or
Like,
it's
you
family
gotta
money and
protect
you've got your
yourself.
mom in your ear
Of
being like,
course.
you better not give all the family money away. Like,
Right.
yeah, so money makes people do weird shit.
Money is a
So,
hard one, and it's a hard conversation, like you mentioned earlier, like, it's a hard topic. We didn't really talk about it growing up either. It's just, like, I do think people are getting more open about all conversations now, like, in general, and money being one of them, but, like, our parents didn't come from a world where you talk about money. That wasn't discussed, and
right,
that's kind of it wasn't even just my parents, it was everyone around me. It was just sort of like, "Oh, you just don't, like, hush hush about it," and it's
right,
like,
yeah.
no, we need to just like sex, like, these are parts of our lives, and we are living a human experience right now, so, like, we need to talk about these things, and we need
Well,
to
I wonder if
discuss
some of the
how to
shame
do them.
comes from that,
For
like
sure.
I she
Like, the secret of it.
well, also too on your podcast Wednesday, it was mentioned that women.
Mhm.
used to not be able to get loans from the bank. They couldn't
Ex
get credit cards until 1970.
Every time I hear that, because I, like, forget, but
Yeah,
when
it's
you hear it,
crazy.
I mean, I was born in '82, like,
Yeah,
right after that. That's
yeah.
wild.
So, women, like, it was probably very strict at a certain point. Like, we don't talk about money. Like, that's what men were saying to women because the men were controlling all of the
Mhm.
money anyway. So they didn't want the women to know what they had or didn't have.
Mhm.
Which, maybe in several generations, the conversation will be very different and people will be able to talk about money, more openly and not, I don't mean like, I don't need to know all your money secrets, but talk about it in
Right.
a way that is, um, helps people have a more like honest relationship with it. Um, because to me, what I walked away from with my parents and the way that my mom still talks about money is like, um, there's shame on both sides. Like,
Mm.
I know that my mom is a penny pincher because my dad has said things about like, I saw this much in our checking account, and I was like, Claudia, we got to put this in a mutual account, blah, blah, blah. So I
Mhm.
know that she's like really good at saving, but she also wants to believe that she is, one paycheck away from like being destitute.
Financial ruin, yeah.
And she cast this like, um, evilness toward
Mm.
people that have money. Like there's a rage in there that comes along with that. Like she's just jealous of it. And but says it in a way like she doesn't care about money. But I'm like, bitch, it's all you talk about. you
Yeah,
know?
I used to have more of those mentalities of just kind of like what you said earlier, thinking people that had tons of money, like, what an easy life,
Right.
whatever. And then because of our job, like you said earlier, I'm around people with like boatloads of money. And some are really happy and some are not. And it does actually, in some ways, create all these other problems that if you're just a regular Joe Schmo and, live a normal life or you're middle class or whatever it is, that you don't have. Like, and not to like be like, "Oh, poor billionaires," or things like that,
Right.
but it's just like I think it is important for us to say there's just where there's people, there's problems. There's not like this, just because I think not having money stress is very helpful. And I know money stress in my life has been one of the big burdens as an adult of like, of weight. And as a single girl and things like that. But I have seen like, oh, it's not gonna actually just fix human problems. Like,
No.
sure, does it make it easier to go get help if you need it or
Go get a
buy the things you
massage if
want?
you need to
Yeah.
chill out.
Get a
Yes.
nanny if you need, like things like
Right.
that. Yes, those things are definitely there. But it doesn't solve any of the other problems that we talk about on this podcast for you. It's not like this quick fix. So that was an interesting experience in my life that maybe your mom hasn't fully had, but that helped me to kind of let go of some of that. Ugh, well, they have a bunch of money. Life is easy.
Right.
It's like
Right.
they have a bunch of money and life is still life. So,
Well, I think an interesting point to this whole topic that just occurred to me is if you are struggling financially
yeah,
and that is your mentality, it makes you think that money is going to solve the problems rather than dealing with what's really going on in your life.
the whys, like we're
The
talking
whys.
about, the
So,
drivers, the emotions, all the things
yes,
that Shannah talks about.
right.
Anyway, I'm going to link that worksheet again in the description of this podcast for you guys. It's free. I just think it's like a really good starter. And then obviously, I'll put the links to her books too. I'm super pumped about her. Like, I just was really excited to connect, and maybe we'll even have her on to do a deeper dive. But check all of that out. Look at your emotions behind the way you spend money, the whys, like the root causes, everything we always talk about on this podcast. Just do it with money. So,
Just do it
anyway,
with money.
and remember,
And
your
send
life is
send money to me
indivisible.
on my Venmo for my destitute mother, because she's so damn broke. Or I'll just keep it.
Oh,
I
Lord.
started
Okay.
giving my Venmo instead of my Instagram.
Well, there's
You
a
can
guy
follow
I
me on
follow.
Venmo at chip-dorsch.
There's a guy I follow on Instagram who gives therapy advice. He's like, here's 6 months. Here's things I learned in 3 years of therapy in 5 minutes. And then at the end, he goes, now Venmo me $5 and attaches his Venmo. And I was like, that's actually, he's probably
It's
making
actually
so much
brilliant.
fucking money.
It's so brilliant. I think
Yeah.
you sent me that dude before.
Yeah, I probably have. All right. Well, you guys go check out Shannah. Again, I will put all of her info in the description of this podcast. You can always email me and Chip at theedge@velvetsedge.com. I am also on Instagram at velvetsedge. Chip.
I'm at Chip Dorsch. It's CHIP. DORSCH.
And our joint Insta for the podcast is at Velvet's Edge Podcast, and we post there a lot. So go check it all out. As you guys go into the weekend and you're living on the edge, I hope you always remember to
Act casual.
bye.
Bye.